Just low key, they be talking right back to you.
And we are live. Welcome everyone to another episode of You Know What? Let me just say podcast. I am your host, Ray. With me as always his father.
Get your child immunized because I'm tired of these little niggas sneezing everywhere.
Yeah, we have Shining Wolf.
What's up, y'all? Shine on. How y'all doing this week?
We have Xavier.
Good evening. Hello. How's everyone?
And we also got Money Mark.
Fuck bitches, get money.
Bye.
All right. All right, so where do y'all want to start? Do y'all want to start with DC Comics trying to reinvent themselves with trying to get rid of like the old superheroes, like the Batman and Superman, or do y'all want to start with the heavy stuff with the Atatiana Jefferson?
Excuse me, Cosmos Jones is on here.
Did she come through?
Yeah, actually. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Oh, what up, Cosmos?
Hey, I came in kind of late, but I'm here.
We just started, so where do y'all want to start at?
Let's start with DC.
That's like, yeah.
Okay. Clarence, you know as much about it because you sent it to me. So can you at least try to inform them what's been going on with the DC Comics?
So DC is rebooting themselves yet again. They seem to have been doing this like every 2 years, been rebooting the series. Started with New 52.
Yup.
Then it was like they had another series after that with the new DC, and now they're doing it again. So it's like this time they're rebooting it, and they're making them younger folks now, but they're different heroes. It's not like Clark Kent or Bruce Wayne. They're making it some other kids this time.
Yeah, it's supposed to be Luke Fox. He's the son of Lucius Fox. So Batman's supposed to be the mantle of Batman goes to Luke Fox. I'm like, yo, that's crazy because we never seen a black character get put on the map like that in quite some time. That's a
Diana too, though.
That's a big title. I don't think people are gonna like this. I really don't think people will like this.
I don't think they're gonna like it because they changing up everybody. Like everybody's changing. Like Diana is not gonna be Wonder Woman this time. It's gonna be somebody else.
Which I understand, but like the world isn't ready for that, and they do it. It's very problematic because the thing about Marvel doesn't shut the fuck up. Marvel doesn't stop. Marvel keeps everything that happens in continuity, and they either say it did happen or they just don't talk about it, but they don't necessarily reboot. DC keeps starting over. They have this thing called the 0 point, where they'll try to make as many stories and continuity as possible to obtain new readers and a new audience. And if it doesn't reach that point by the certain time in the clock, they punch the clock in and they start over. And I hate that.
It makes it hard, and it makes it hard to follow and to have conversations about too. Because you like, which version of this character are you talking about? You talking about Earth this, Earth that, dimension this, dimension that. It's very hard to follow. I think that's why a lot of superhero comics are losing their appeal, and people are like, reading manga instead.
Not only that, just the popular characters are very convoluted and they're hard to follow. Like if you like Batman and you want to read a Batman comic, there's really no way to really start unless you really take the accountability of every incarnation of Batman and pick out certain stories that happen that you just can't look over, like the death of Jason Todd, the Killing Joke. Books like that, those are law. You have to read those if you want to get into Batman. But again, all that stuff is still pre-52 continuity, like before the reboot, but it's still a staple in the in this character. Like I've been checking the numbers too, and like the Incredible Hulk has outsold Batman. That hasn't happened in, I don't know, what time is it? Never. Like
the backlog Incredible Hulk.
No, the new Incredible Hulk. It's called Immortal Hulk, and it's really good because the author writes the Hulk kind of like going back to his roots of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and it's more of a horror story. And it's really good. Like pretty much the Hulk can't die. Like it's fucking amazing, and I highly recommend checking out that comic and give it a read.
So, from what I've heard, the people who did this try to boot the DC also work with Marvel, and I know from what I've seen, they tried to do it with Marvel and really didn't work like that. So, and like Clarence said, DC has tried this many times and it's really worked. So, what makes them think that? Do you, in your opinion, since you don't think it's going to work, what makes you think they're trying this again?
It's going to work.
Yeah, what makes you think that they think it's going to work this time?
I don't think it will.
Are you asking me? Are you asking?
Yeah, I'm asking anybody.
I don't think it will because, I mean, you could keep on knocking your head against the wall if you want to, but the effects ain't going to change. You just hurting yourself more. That's pretty much what they're doing. I don't know what they could really do to really fix what they put themselves at.
But
because at this point, I don't know.
It's going to be a major problem because what they're doing right now is what happened to Riri Williams with Iron Man. Riri Williams came out of nowhere after Tony Stark caught cancer in like 2 panels of a comic. They got rid of him and brought in Riri Williams for Iron Lady or Ironheart. Nobody liked her. It's not because she was black. It's because there was no story as to why in the hell she would just replace Tony Stark. And that's what's going to happen to Luke Fox. There's no story leading up to the replacement or the death of Bruce Wayne. When you think of Batman, you think of Bruce Wayne. There's no other person people think of when it comes to Batman. The majority of people, especially people who don't read comics or people who just know the generalization of an iconic character, like Batman is known all around the world and people know Bruce Wayne. If they take out Bruce Wayne and they say, oh, he's gone, let's bring in this black kid that no one really knows about, that we haven't really given character development, that we haven't given people time to grow with, they are not going to care. And you will, of course, have some people that will go, oh, what's up with this black Batman? Why don't he just go be Black Panther or something? You know, somebody's going to say something ignorant. I'm expecting that. But most people who are comic readers and just with an open mind, they're not going to like it because there's no story.
All right. So to speak as somebody who isn't an avid comic reader, or really, I don't really read comics, period. But I think that maybe something that they might be trying to do is to introduce characters who haven't been seen before and kind of play this whole like diversity thing that they've been kind of trying to do lately and bring on new people who don't really read comics. And maybe they're thinking, oh, well, this is the new generation of people. There's a new generation of people who will be interested.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't agree more. That's exactly what they're doing. But the problem is that the old fans don't leave. They just complain and they tell the new fans what this is supposed to be. And then the new fans get, you know, their mind is just all messed up because I follow like the forums and stuff like that. And there are a lot of people who go to like Reddit, different types of forums looking for where to start. And there are just people in there that are just so negative that don't like what's going on. It makes you not want to read.
I agree because I feel like this point, if I wanted to get into comics, like
it's
late. Not like like you guys have said, it's pretty convoluted, and it's like I just don't want to go through all the hassle. Like Clarence or Wolf said earlier, people get into manga because it's a lot easier to get into. You can just pick up a book and start a series, and you're starting from square one. But with American comic books, it's totally different in that you just jump into this jumbled like mess. So I think that maybe they're just trying to create some square one for the new people. But like you said, the old people don't go away. So if there may be a way that we can kind of streamline the old stuff and the new stuff, and not like just add more to the chaos that is American comic books.
And I agree with you about the manga. Manga is a very different type of read because, I mean, for one, manga, no matter how long, comes to an end. Every series will go away. It doesn't seem like it, but One Piece will end. We don't know when, but the ship will reach the dock and it will come to a close. And the thing about someone like Superman, it doesn't stop. He's always doing stuff. Superman has been saving the same woman, Lois Lane, since 1930. I don't know how many times can you save the same person without just leaving or taking a hiatus. I don't know, but like his stories don't come to an end.
That's
so,
yeah. I don't even get into manga or anime that I haven't already been into that is like 1,000 episodes long. Like if I'm coming to it on like episode 300, I'm just not gonna really get into it seriously. I'm gonna okay, I'm just gonna find another series that's maybe like, I don't know, 30 episodes, or like, I can, come in there and like get a quick synopsis,
That's why a lot of manga and anime that have lesser episodes, they do well too. Like one of my favorites is still Death Note. It's a small series, but it answers all your questions and it puts the story to rest, where you have something
and
that's
there's
ongoing.
no plot holes.
Yeah, and there's no plot holes. Like it answers your questions, and like, if you want to get into My Hero, I mean, I guess there's still a chance for that, even though it's already 4 seasons in. But it's so popular, I think people are just willing to just go with it.
It hasn't gone that far either.
Yeah,
I still hate the ending for Death Note.
I mean,
that's just me.
Too, but it's what like no. I don't get me wrong. I said that wrong. I don't hate it. I don't hate the ending of Death Note. I hate the continuation of it that I'm glad most people don't know about after the ending, because it was fucking horrible.
You mean the one where Light Yagami's trying to plead with the Shinigami while like every death that he done wrote down is like fucking killing him over and over again? That one?
After that. It's something like
There's something after that?
Yeah, they tried a whole new series with Death Note, and it basically follows this kid that goes by C Kidda, and the C stands for Chief Kidda.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, and they called him that because instead of him going after criminals, he was killing people in hospitals and retirement homes.
Jesus.
So his whole mindset was, oh, you're already on your deathbed, so I'm just going to put you to sleep and make it easier.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't read that.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad. And Nier pretty much caught that dude in like a week. It was wild.
Wow. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't read that.
No,
it's not really necessarily Western comic books. It's superhero DC and Marvel genre. There are plenty of American comic books that come to an end, that have a clear start and a clear ending. Like, for example, Scott Pilgrim. That's a Western comic book that has a start, it has an end. Sin City, Saga.
Avatar. I said Avatar.
Avatar, yeah, Saga.
Yeah,
those are ones that's easy to read, easy to start, easy to finish.
Yeah, and there's also Top Cow with the Witchblade series that has a start and an ending for the most part.
Yep.
Witchblade is still going?
Yeah, they're actually going to reboot Witchblade. I've been waiting on them to release something for 2 years, and all we have is a goddamn sketch of the first 2 panels. That's all we got. I'm like, where is the book? Because I love Jackie Estacado. That is my dog. I need to read that book, and they have not dropped it yet.
And even if they continue the stories, some of them are standalone stories.
Mm-hmm.
Where the story kind of stands on its own. But
that's why
work is not like that.
Yeah, because my big opinion, like I know you said Cosmos is that like you're not into comics, but like what I highly recommend you do is if you ever think about it, read a series. Like if you want to get into Batman, read specific comics. Don't read like all of them. Just read one, continuous story. Like Battle for the Cow with Batman. That's like a 3-part book. read Long Halloween, like stuff like that. That's just here's the
Or
story of
Hush.
Batman. Yeah, Batman Hush is a great example. Batman No Man's Land, like books like that have a clear start, a clear ending, and then that's it.
I definitely think that's what I would have to go with if I was gonna like get into any series. Like I can't do the this is a series that never ends.
Yeah, like don't do that one. And like, for Spider-Man, of course, read Craven's Last Hunt. Fantastic book. Like just certain stuff must be read, and then after that you can walk away.
All right. I definitely think that anybody getting into comic books, that probably should be the recommendation for people instead of like, you know, I guess taking them through this whole journey of like, well, this and that, and you shouldn't read that unless you have read that already. And I'm like, I
Exactly.
think,
And what really
I think it's
deters.
that way with movies too. Like,
Oh, definitely.
just give me a good story, that is well done from beginning to end, and I'm good with that. Like, but I don't think I need like to read comics from the 1930s to understand what's going on in like the 80s comics or something. Like it's a whole 50-year stretch.
Yeah. Because comics have a tendency to repeat themselves. Like if you look at 1960s Batman to like 1970s, it was like the same basic plot line of this and that. And it was the same stuff happening almost over and over and over again until they introduced someone new every once in a while.
Oh, you mean like Dragon Ball Z?
Yes and no. Worse than Dragon Ball Z.
oh man.
Because the thing about comics is comics when they are written, it automatically puts a date on it, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like anytime you read a comic, it literally sounds like what year it came from. So if you're reading a comic from the 1930s, it sounds 1930s. Like with them saying certain dialogue, like Superman will be like, oh, blast Krypton, I'm gonna save, you hear when you read that stuff, it sounds like 1930s. But in my opinion, probably in the early 2000s, maybe late 90s, but mostly early 2000s is when we finally had a consistent tone for comics, and they actually started writing the characters' feelings and thoughts and the internal monologue, and we really got to feel those characters. Whereas in the 1930s, it was meanwhile at the Legion of Doom, or meanwhile in the Batcave, Batman slowly types on his back computer to figure out what happened to the Joker. He fell off Ace Chemical's tower last time, but what will our great Dark Knight detective do tonight? Like, it's
right.
just...
I definitely feel like even as far as like cinema and comic books and like just the way that Americans portrayed characters, like the intention behind it has definitely changed since back in the day. Like back in the day, I feel like the characters kind of represented a personality trait or some type of a quality that people wanted within themselves, and they kind of personified that throughout this character. But that character wasn't like a fully dimensional like person. It was just like this person represents bravery, or this person represents like the struggle of perseverance, or just some
they were archetypes. They weren't characters.
archetypes. Exactly,
Yeah.
that's the word that I'm thinking of.
They weren't written as people.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I couldn't agree more. Exactly.
All right. Any last words before we move on to our next topic?
Make comics simple again.
Yep. It'll fail. That's all I have. It'll fail. We can move on. It won't work out.
Make superhero comics simple again. Them giants be crazy.
I hate her comics so much.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna stay on the lighter note, but League of Legends. There's two things that happen in the League of Legends world. If anyone is interested in it, first, I guess the one that interested me is that they have a new fighting game that they've been putting in the works, and from what people seeing some of it, a lot of people getting excited, and also that they added a black woman as a another character in the League of Legends game. So, what are y'all thoughts about that right there?
What about a black woman being another League of Legends character?
Either whichever
see what she
one.
looked like. I didn't see what she looked like. Make sure it's not biased. Yes, post in the group.
Yeah, I
But
find it. From what I've
as
seen,
far as
I think she wear like all black and she has dreads and she has guns. What I seen.
yeah, well, in the meantime, as far as a fighting game, I would have preferred that from the start because I'm not really a Unreal tournament game type of person. Really, those arena multiplayers.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not really a big fan of those, so I would probably prefer that from the jump. So I'm kind of excited because the character models for League of Legends is very good. The character design and everything is fantastic, but it's just not my type of game. Now I might actually get into it.
Same. Especially since, like you said, the characters are interesting. So to put that in a fighting game, I'm gonna play the hell out of it. Like, I already know.
Because I saw the Fox lady on there. I was like, oh, that looks interesting. Then I saw like some of the other characters. But the League of Legends has a lot of like rip-offs of other characters too, though. Like they had a character that looked like Gambit, and you could tell he's supposed to be Gambit, but he looked different so that Marvel doesn't sue them. And they had like a Strider Hero character too. Character looked just like Strider Hero, but different. And I was like, yeah.
They be
So they
stealing
gonna have
some
a
names
lot
too.
of
They be stealing some names too. Like there's a character named Jax, I believe.
Is he black?
Nah, I don't think he's black.
Quiet. That's how you get them. Like you make people don't like things that are not familiar to them. So if you make a character that reminds you of another character you like, then you're gonna go for it.
Right. Cause I ain't gonna lie, when I saw that game character, I was like, do I want to play this game? Do I want to get some microtransactions going on?
Like it, I don't mind like, you know, people of color, black people, whatever, getting cast as these new characters. It goes back to I'm not trying to deter, but
she looks dope.
There was this YouTuber, and she brought up something that I was just kind of like, I never realized that. Where she said that she noticed because she was talking about Zoe Kravitz being cast as Catwoman or whatever, but she said that she's noticing that a lot of characters in pop culture, media, video games, whatever, are changing, are race bending, you know, or changing the race, and they're going from white to black. But she's one. The YouTuber is basically saying like, what about the representation of, you know, the Latino community, like the Asians, like why don't we get more of those? Why does everybody have to go from white to black?
Exactly.
What about Rey Mysterio?
Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, what about Rey? That's a superhero.
Yeah, I mean, booyah.
Let me stop.
But isn't Rey Mysterio a luchador?
Yeah, he's a luchador.
Right. Luchadors are usually considered superheroes. Or at least they're built that way.
Yeah, they kind of go off the archetype.
Yeah, I can't look at a luchador without thinking about Mucha Lucha. It's very hard not to think about that show.
All right.
I mean, that was a good show. The Flea was like my guy.
I know I know he stunk. Like there's not enough green animation around his character that just solidifies his smell. I know he smelled foul.
I'm looking at his character though, and I highly approve. I give it a 10.
Wait, where is it at?
The sword she got, she kind of look like she got some soul bad guy going on there with those swords that she got.
Wait,
so it's like
Guilty Gear? Hold up.
Blaze Blue and Guilty Gear going on in there.
All right, so here's my thing. I'm like, so while I appreciate.
Hold up, before you start, look at the chat, Mark. Well, that's what she looked. That's what it's done. Oh, go ahead, Father.
Oh.
So, and you know this, right? Because I said this and you saw it. I appreciate that, you know, there's a black woman in there, right? That's like not debatable. Like I appreciate that. That's cool. She looks great. But there are two things that kind of bother me with it. Number one, in a game with 145 characters, this is your first black woman. You got mythical ass creatures. There's 100 ways to reinterpret white people. There's 100 ways to reinterpret Asian people. We got one black woman out of 145. Okay, I'll give you that. But then another thing that kind of worries me about this is, if we celebrate this, right, and we're like, oh yeah, finally inclusion, yeah, like this, it just doesn't seem that like a big deal to me. It seemed like a crumb. It seemed like one of those instances where we got served food. We're black people. We got served food fast. I mean, we got served food last, and we're celebrating the fact that we got served last. You know what I mean? It kind of like has that feel to it. And while I'm happy to have that food, and while I'm happy that she's in the game, it's just like, come on, like after all the shit that we done accomplished now, first black anime, we got black cons, you know what I'm saying? Like big things are happening with black people in the media and stuff like that. Tyler Perry owning his own studio and shit. Like this right here kind of seems like you know.
He has a solid point. This is just more tokenism as usual.
Yeah, it seems like it just seems like you want a black woman here. I mean, yeah, the character looks cool and that's great and all, but in a 145 character game, this is your first black woman. And while I can't count how many probably white characters there are in the game, I can't count how many Asian characters are probably in the game.
Probably some Hispanic ones too. You just can't tell because they kind of look to the Asian ones a little bit.
Okay, so let me ask you this question, and this is coming from a fictional standpoint, and not from a non-fictional standpoint. Does the character have to be specifically black for you to connect to a character?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Some other people will say yes, but no.
So if that was the case, Vegeta wouldn't be like my number one person ever.
No, Vegeta got hella character development.
Bro, Vegeta is me. Like he is me in anime form. That is me.
That man. If he was a sworn.
Because I feel like, although to me on a fictional standpoint, and I know I'll probably get shit for this from some people there. As far as from non-fictional, I like my Ali's, I like my Dick Gregory's, I like my Martin Luther King's and all that other stuff. From a fictional standpoint, some of my favorite characters are probably not even black. Even though I appreciate the black characters that are in there, because I feel like the black characters that we do have are represented well. Like Jon Stewart's Green Lantern, you got your Static Shocks, or anything that Phil Lamar done put his voice in. Like I feel like those are represented well. And but I wouldn't lie to you, like especially like in fighting games, some of my favorite characters are like Ryu, who is Asian, or if you go to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, my favorite character is Raphael, who's a hothead. Like I always try to find someone that I feel like I personally connect with on a being, and like on that note, race shouldn't matter. But if I've always said this, if you do want to put a black person in there, it's got to be a reason for them to be in there, and not just throw them in there just because. And that's always been my thing, and I've felt like I've always stand on that, at least from a fictional standpoint.
I would say that they need to be developed. They need to be developed well. You can't just stick them in there and just be like, "Oh, hey y'all, how y'all doing?" And they're just gonna be like the sidekick or a background character. They gotta be developed. Otherwise, you might as well not really even put them in there because they're not gonna stick out or be advertised that much either. But advertising is how most of these characters become popular, like on the mass level.
Also, you have people that will say if the character is supposed to be black, they're not acting like a black person.
Oh my god!
They'll say the mannerisms is not of a black woman or male. The way the person walks, or they'll do something. They're like, "Oh no, this is just a skin tone, but it's not really a black." There are some people who really do look at that kind of stuff and nitpick, which is fine to a certain extent. But to me, in some of the games, I'm just like, well, what is a black person supposed to act like in the game? If this is just an adventure game, or if it's just a fighting game, I'm like, well, how is a black person supposed to act? I'm like, because if you've traveled the world, you know, black people act all different type of ways. I said, so like sometimes, you know, when we get a black character, it's like, well, how are they supposed to be represented? Like, why does, in order for them to be black, they have to have puffballs? They have to have dreads. I'm like, why is that the only two hair options in order for us to feel like the person's truly black when most of our black friends don't have that hairstyle? But when it comes to those characters, it's like they want that character to have that kind of hair because that means the person is really black. And I'm going off of what I've seen on Twitter of people underneath these discussions under the photo of the character and getting to these heated arguments.
Well, as far as black males is concerned, don't they typically cut their hair if they don't have it in braids or dreadlocks or a fro?
Right. Yeah, that's very true.
Kind of boring for a character. I mean, some characters could have it, but if all the black characters had that, like it represented in real life, that would be kind of boring. You kind of got to give your characters some spice for them to stick out aesthetically.
Yeah, because like from what I know, when black people make their characters, they give their characters honestly very interesting hairstyles.
I've seen.
And the thing is, like, it's kind of weird because some people do that, but at the same time, if a game was to come out and do that to the character, some people would say, well, this is not what a black person's hairstyle would be. But I'm like, well, a lot of black people actually, when they design their own characters, they give the person the mohawk, or they give the person the shaved side or something. It's just too much.
Yeah, because you know, there's very different depictions of black people in different types of games and shows too. Like, you can't compare how Killer Bee acts from Naruto to Jax in Mortal Kombat. Like, that's not even remotely the same. So you don't need to have the same skin complexion to relate. To me, it's all about character development and story. Like, if you tell me a good story, I don't care if the character is purple. If it's a good story, then I'm all for it.
Plus, I'm pretty sure that there's plenty of white characters black people will like defend to death anyway.
Yeah, so. For me, that's Lara Croft. Don't play with my Lara Croft.
Lara Croft's just a bona fide badass anyway.
Which version of Lara Croft?
I like the old version.
Yeah. Until the new game starts somewhere else, I'm tired of her being on this damn island.
I feel like a lot of the older fans,
but I'm all Tomb Raider up until Angel of Darkness.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like a lot of the older fans of Tomb Raider, I've always noticed like there are not many who are like okay with how new Tomb Raider is, because I guess like she's just so new and inexperienced and she's not learning anything.
I don't like that Tomb Raider, and they've done 3 video games of her being like that, trapped on the island. I'm like, all right.
I agree with Xavier. I'm waiting for her to like really fuck niggas up and get her to like that badass Tomb Raiders.
Exactly.
The cocky Lara Croft. I like the cocky cheeky joint that used to talk shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Lara Croft that we grew up with was the one that inspired Nathan Drake. Without Lara Croft, there will be no Uncharted. But we're not.
There will be no Uncharted, therefore there will be no rebooted Lara Croft that we playing today.
Yeah.
They both kind of played off of each other. back
Yeah,
and
they
forth.
definitely did.
Yeah, because if I'm correct, Nathan Drake didn't even have a story like the new Laura Croft did. He seemed like he was always cocky and like knowing what he was doing, even when he was inexperienced.
Mm.
Yeah, they was playing off the old Laura Croft. Actually, Laura Croft was going to be a dude, but they decided to make her a female for a reason that I forgot. I kind of forgot what it was, but yeah. But I think the reason why people get excited for this character is probably because it's a black female, not so much because it's a black character, but it's a black female. Because in video games, there's not a lot of black females in video games. There's more black dudes. They get a token spot in the game. Like you might get your Eddie Gordo or your Bruce or your Balrog or DJ.
Yeah, there's not a lot of black female lead. The main character is not
Or just
black.
females in there, period. Like,
you remember the black female lead video game from back in the day, Kia?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was supposed to be a big thing.
That was a big thing, I think. I don't know. I know a lot of people who appreciated that series.
Yeah, but it ended so early, like nothing.
Yeah, I definitely think that more could have been done with that, but I guess they left it as its own kind of like standalone thing to appreciate for what it was at the time.
I guess that's probably why I appreciate Assassin's Creed, because there's a game called Assassin's Creed Liberation in which you play a black woman and she's fucking badass. I think she's Haitian, if I believe. She's like, and she's like killing a whole bunch of French dudes and shit. Like, that was a good ass game.
I know. Yeah, I didn't like that game particularly, but I liked her character, and I think it's because it was on the PSP. But I felt like that game, it could have been worthy of the PS3 whenever it came out, because that was actually one of the better stories Assassin's Creed told, in my opinion.
Can they do an updated version of that same game, the Liberation?
I don't know. I probably should check that out, because all I know it did come out on a PSP.
So, I think they ported it. They did a port to PS4.
Oh, port.
Oh, and Steam.
Port though, like yeah.
If it's ported, then I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Any last words on this before we move on to our next topic, though?
Absolutely.
Hold on, what was the first black character that you noticed in the video game?
That I noticed in the video?
Personally, personally.
That's a good question.
Zach from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, when they made him beat him up?
No, female.
Aisha?
She was in the game.
The movie? Remember Power Rangers, the movie? They had to beat him up?
Yeah, the movie beat him up.
I might have to go with that.
Storm.
3D? That's not a good... Are we including fighting games, or...
It don't matter. The game.
That was me. That's fine.
Dead or Alive 4, Mariposa. The black
yeah, I know who you're talking about. La Mariposa. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I was thinking Vanessa. I was saying Vanessa Williams from Virtual. Is that her name? Vanessa Williams from Virtual Fighter. Virtual Fighter.
Yeah, the muscular joint.
Yeah, the one that did Valley too, though. She was badass.
Lewis, I believe.
It's Lewis.
I don't know if she really, but Christy Moncheva.
She's ambiguous at best.
She's Brazilian, but she's like dark skinned Brazilian.
Yeah, she was dark skinned in 4, and then they lightened her skin in 5.
Well, dark skinned Brazilian is still black. You know, they have African descent.
But the reason I say that is video games will do that, where they'll have a dark skinned character, but they won't explicitly state that they're black. Because they did that with they tried doing that with Armor King from Tekken. Because a lot of people assumed Armor King was Mexican. I'm like, no, it's unknown. But we all know that since he has dark skin, he's black, just because of how we see ourselves. But a lot of video games will do it to where it'll be just ambiguous as fuck.
Right. I think that the fact that we all had to think so hard about that question is kind of telling, in that it would be cool, definitely, to see more Black people in video games as like roles that are fucking badass, you know, and not side characters, you know.
I forgot about Sheva from Resident Evil 5, and I like Sheva. Sheva from Resident Evil.
But that was late in the game though. That was just last generation.
I don't like Sheva. Resident Evil 5.
What?
It's because she
love Sheva.
And she disappeared. That's why. That's the only reason why. It's because she killed Wesker.
She was the reason I played that game.
I mean, yeah. It was co-op. I don't like hate Sheva. I just don't like that she killed my favorite character and then left. We've never seen her since. She killed Wesker.
God knows she did leave.
Like that's my only problem. Like if she was that good enough to help take out Wesker, then use her in something else. If she's that good, working with Chris,
I guess they say keep her ass in Africa.
Yeah, just keep her relevant. The first Black female character I've seen in a video game was Halle Berry Catwoman from PlayStation 2. That was
no, that game was terrible. I had it.
How many times did you stay still just to watch our idle information?
We're not gonna go over the details, but I was a huge Halle Berry Catwoman fan just because it was Halle Berry. It wasn't good, but it is what it is.
Mine is corny. Mine is corny, but mine is Storm.
Marvel versus.
Yeah, from back in the day.
Or that Sega game. The Sega game.
I mean, that's not really corny. In the FGC, especially in Marvel 2, Storm is one of the best characters in the game.
Or Storm and X-Men Mutant Academy series. The Mutant Academy series.
Oh, yeah, she was really good in that game.
Between that and what's his name from what's the guy in Tekken?
Eddie Gordo?
Eddie?
Yeah. Yes.
Is he Brazilian or black?
He's
black.
He's a black Brazilian.
He was brown.
No, I think he was black. But they do have black.
Yeah. Eddie's black. Like, that's not even a question. But before Eddie, there was Bruce, who came in Tekken 2. And Bruce is like American black. Like, that's a nigga.
Yeah. Good Lord. Also, in one of my favorite games, Lee from The Walking Dead, which is probably one of the best characters ever, to me, one of the best characters ever developed in a video game. If you played the Walking Dead series. So he, like, you stood by him. And also Clementine, I guess, if you want to count Clementine.
They just more modern games. But those are good ones, though. Like Clementine, if you good character development. That drank me a little bit.
Oh, there.
All right.
Is it actually working?
I guess on to it.
Is it actually working?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's up?
Oh my gosh, it actually worked. Finally. Good Lord. I'm trying to say something for the last few minutes. Ha!
Hello! Welcome.
So, you had said the last words about that thing, the League of Legends, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, only issue I have is the breadcrumbs mentality thinking of it. Because you can't look at what someone else would see as a big victory as breadcrumbs just because it doesn't directly affect you. Like, just because, oh, this isn't really your thing or it's not directly pointed at you, that don't mean it's the last or the scraps of something. It's the start of something for somebody. And you have to take that as a small victory. You taking it as a breadcrumb is going to make you seem like you taking that as something is a loss somehow, some way. You're viewing it pessimistically. And pessimism is negative. And you can't do that if you're trying to have progression.
I agree with that because it's a start for Black women because Black women are beginning to pop up in games a little bit more than they used to. Like I said, at first it was like Black dudes would get tokens, they get little tokens in games and stuff, and as a collective, you'll see you have a good amount of Black games, but for Black women, as far as video game characters concerned, they didn't really have that much, unless it was like a comic book character that was in a comic book video game, comic related video game, something like that. I heard Storm was boiled up a lot, and like Power Rangers characters, but those aren't really video game characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like a good, solid, just video game character. Finally.
Yeah. They're gonna pop up a little bit more.
Oh yeah, heavily. And it's not to say be content and be complacent with having one, but being happy that there is one. That's what matters. Be happy of what the little victories you get. Don't get content and don't get complacent and be like, well, we got this one, so now we're good. Just, take that as a victory still.
Right.
So when you see it as breadcrumbs, you're not seeing it for what it is. You're going to see it as the scraps. You're going to see it as this little negative thing that you now have.
Okay. I see what you're saying, and I agree, right? But this is the only thing I'm going to say in regards to the breadcrumbs thing, because I have seen it's great to be happy for it. I'm happy for it too. Obviously, I want to see more of that, right? But at the same time, there is a part of me that has a little bit of restraint because this is like, okay, we have this. Please let's keep the momentum going because I don't want this to be the only thing that we celebrate. Because if it is, then we're back to square one. I don't want it to be where we're happy, where we're getting food last. Because I don't want to get food last anymore. I want to get food when everybody gets food. That's my thing.
I get that. I really do. I understand that. But you also have to realize, yes, you can say that, but you can't come around and say, I don't feel we should be happy about this, because that's how you made your statement. Is I don't feel we should be happy about this, but when you compare that victory to being served last and being served breadcrumbs, you're not seeing it as a victory whatsoever.
I think
that when you make it a breadcrumb is a minute little thing that you get because they wanted to give you scraps. They didn't want to give you anything. And it's not saying that you should be happy with just, like, you should be content or complacent with just one. Don't be content and complacent with one. Yes, always strive for more, but we can't say, I don't feel we should be happy about getting this one Black woman character, when that's not how it should be at all. You should celebrate the small victories, because if you don't celebrate small victories, then what are you getting them for? Why are you putting negativity and pessimism out there? What's the point in not letting someone celebrate that joy of, oh my gosh, we have a Black woman character finally in this game that I enjoy. There's someone like me in this game that I enjoy. They don't see that as a breadcrumb. They're seeing that as, dang, I got a sandwich. Finally. Out of all the stuff that's been up there, I got a sandwich. They're not seeing it as, I got crumbs, I got the last of this or the last of that. That's a very pessimistic view of seeing that.
I think that maybe the language makes it seem that way, but as like we discuss it, it's more that it's not that we shouldn't be happy with getting something, but rather like we shouldn't just be satisfied with this, like whether it be breadcrumbs or a sandwich, everybody loves bread, right? But maybe that sandwich just isn't quite filling enough. So that it's not saying that we don't appreciate finally getting our slice of pastrami or bread, on bread or rye or whatever, but we just gotta
White
keep that
only
momentum.
pie.
Mhm.
Sorry, I like
All that.
life. White only pie.
And that's just like the point that I like. I don't feel you could. I mean, let's not get totally like hung up on the language, but rather the intention behind it, which is rather that I think both of us really are supporting the fact that we have something that we didn't have before, but rather like in one way we're saying, oh, we appreciate it. Another way saying, I appreciate it, but don't let that be the last of it. Let's keep it going. And it might seem pessimistic, but in a way it's really trying to encourage what we both are kind of wanting out of this whole thing.
Yeah, see, it all depends on it. Sadly, it does depend on the words that language that we use, because it's not always the interpretation that's remembered. It's the words that you use that get used later on and interpreted however people want. So
Yeah,
like
that's true.
that creates a whole a whole different situation. Whereas your words could mean something entirely positive, and you saying it how you said it, it's positive in your head in the meaning and interpretation, but then it comes out and someone will take those words and automatically twist it into something horrible. You know what I mean? And then if that happens, it's not the interpretation that was remembered, but it was the words that you used that were remembered.
Right, but I feel like people are gonna do this almost no matter what you say, they're gonna take it however they want to take it. But that's why we have discussions like these and try to remember over everything else that we're really unified on this topic, but we have different ways of like taking that in and expressing that. And if somebody's expressing it in a way that you feel like is negative, then it's like unless they're opposite, their goal is opposite than like what you're trying to accomplish, then it's like, don't even like let them get you down. Like if you're happy about it, then just be happy about it, we're all in this together. And even though it may seem like somebody has an oppositional kind of way of seeing that same victory.
Well, either way, a lot of black studios and a lot of black people are making their own stuff now, so we should be seeing more regardless.
Which is a step forward. So I'm glad
Big step.
a
That's the
big
best.
a big step forward. Like I know what was it called? Cannon Trigger? That's what it was called.
Yeah.
Like Cannon Trigger was good. I hope we can see more like it.
But the thing is reaching notoriety, so these characters can be marketed a lot more because never going to reach notoriety of some of these other characters if they're not marketed the right way.
All right. All right, on to our next topic, and I guess this is where it gets heavy. I want to talk about the Atatiana Jefferson situation. Obviously, a lot of y'all know about it. She was sitting at home playing video games with her nephew. Uh, the cops was coming through. He was supposed to check the house, and he ended up shooting a woman in her own home. So, anybody want to share their thoughts on that situation?
I'm just wondering why didn't he ring a doorbell first or tap on the door and make it known that he's there, he's the police, and he's doing a check. Why is he snooping around and then giving a order and then in 1 second shooting. I'm trying to figure out what kind of training did he go through where that's acceptable, which is obviously not acceptable because, he's been charged with murder. But what I want to know, I got this from Whoopi Goldberg, is if the situation was reversed and she's hearing someone in her backyard trying to, seem like they're trying to break in, and she decides to shoot them and say she killed the officer. I'm just like, what would have happened then? Because she almost has every right to do so. But it's just, it's just so many things I'm just wondering about. Like, if she had the upper hand and shot him first, would it be that she's wrong as well, or would she be right? If he did what he was supposed to do, she would be alive. If the neighbor might have, mind his own business, and not that he did something malicious, but if he just maybe, didn't call the police, she'll still be here. I have a lot of questions, and it's very upsetting.
That there are a lot of things that should have happened and didn't happen, and a lot of things that really could have happened. I think that we all know how the legal system would have gone about punishing her if she would have shot an officer of the law versus the other way around. Hopefully we'll see some justice out of the situation, but the pattern does promising. Not really. First of all, the police department that was attached to that officer came out and said that they had de-escalation training and protocol that was not followed when they reviewed the videotape, and that they couldn't stand behind him on like he went about that. He didn't use his training, and he just did what he did as if that was the bad apple in the bunch. We don't really know that though, because we don't know what the record for that department's like if they have incidents like this, but this is just the thing that's on national. But I guess, they don't want to be associated with him and what he did. And it was absolutely horrible. I don't think that the neighbor called it a non-emergency number. So why he came with guns drawn is like another question on top of the mountain of questions.
Right.
Their concerned neighbor, they saw that they had left their door open at night, and they were, knew that they had an elderly person in the house. So they decided to call the non-emergency number to go check it out. And then this tragedy happened that absolutely shouldn't have happened. And it could have been so much worse. They were playing video games in the room when they heard someone snooping around outside. And the young nephew wanted to go to the window and check it out, but she said, no, you stay here, I'm going to go check it out. And that's when she went up to the window and she was shot and killed. That could have been a child that was shot and killed because of this person's trigger happy finger that seems to so often happen when it comes to dealing with black and minority people, other minority people. And it's just, until these people are held accountable to the fullest extent of the law, not like 10 years like Amber Guy, to the fullest extent of the law, like this, it just seems like this is just going to keep happening. It has been happening for so long, and riots have been started over this happening. But it's like, how much more do you think people are going to take without there being some backlash? And it's like, we don't want to see it get to that point. Nobody really wants to have like a dystopian kind of reality, surrounding oppressing people and murdering people without there being consequences. So it's like, there needs to be better training. That training needs to, be just better followed, like across the board. Not even just, they say they had training, but obviously that didn't show in this case. Everybody, there needs to be like a national standard.
Their training only works when it comes to these national terrorists.
I'm gonna make one last point. That there was a soldier commented on one of the stories, not this particular story. He's talking about how he doesn't understand how there's so many police shootings, because as a person at war, where you actually are engaging with people who are trying to kill you, they have better training as to when to shoot and when not to shoot. They're not as trigger happy as the people who are trying to take care of domestic issues, like people who aren't necessarily trying to, kill you. Like at war, you can almost expect that almost every person you encounter who's not an American is an enemy who wants to kill you. But that's not necessarily the case because there's civilians out there, and they discriminate between civilians and people who are, you know, um, you know, enemies, or at least they do a better job of that than the police officers at home apparently do. I'm just saying, so how do they have better training to do that in a much more aggressive situation than we do here on the ground? But they're still militarized almost in the same way with the same kinds of guns and gear. I mean, we're gearing up our police officers as if they're soldiers, but we don't train them as if they are. And I'm done with that point. You guys can go ahead.
So reading that, like reading the headlines and stuff like that, it really bothered me because first of all, she's not far from our age. She was only like 27 when she passed away?
28.
28. She's not far from my age at all. And she did exactly what, they said that you're supposed to do. She got an education. You know what I'm saying? She had a pretty good job from what I've read. Like, she was doing everything that America says you have to do. That when they say, oh, black people just need to pull themselves by their bootstraps. That's exactly what she was doing. But she can look out her window and get shot and die just like that, for just in cold blood. And like, people just, what I've noticed about this whole thing is that a lot of people are just not honest with what's going on in America. They're not honest because this has been a regular thing for like the longest time, where cops just shoot black folks and we're just supposed to just take it as if, the training is not good. No, this is not just training at this point. This is deliberate. This is actual, like, I see a black person and, my trigger finger is just even more likely to be active.
Okay. Because I don't understand how come these active shooters are never accidentally shot.
Exactly. That's like, bro.
Yeah,
Who shot a whole church full of black folks got arrested and taken to fucking Burger King before they took them to fucking jail.
Yeah.
What?
They always can't find the active shooter, but they always find an innocent civilian.
The guy who shot up the Walmart, he's coming into the courtroom in a suit and not even in handcuffs. Mm-hmm. I'm like, huh? But people, a person shoplifted and they're being shackled and walking like a damn slave. Yeah. But let's let them, these active shooters, they're innocent until proven guilty.
Exactly.
Let's give them a hug. Let's brush their hair.
Because they always have those people that, like, for petty thief, as it piles up, they make it seem like you're just this big menace to society, where like you probably stole like 2 watches and like a bunch of socks or something, and they just dragging you in there like you're some sort of animal. Sometimes I'm just like, yo, this person here massacred children, shot up a school. This man just couldn't stop going to Tyson's Corner and taking shit. And why aren't, like, sure, they're both quote unquote criminals, I guess, but one is petty crime and one is slaughter. At this point, is our law really just a joke? They're not taking anything seriously.
Well, they say about the whole thing about black people are not under, what is it, the 4th Amendment?
The Constitution thing with like, we're like the 3rd human or something like that.
We're not really considered.
I think that's the 7th.
I think that's the 7th. Yeah, whatever number it is. I mean, if we're 1/3 human, then I guess we need to go beast mode and just eat y'all or something. This is just ridiculous.
I'm waiting for us to turn into Hong Kong.
Yeah, and Haiti too, because right now Haiti is protesting that the president like stepped down, like actually.
But you
So
see, the thing is though, we can't do that because they will come out in riot gear and start shooting,
yeah,
and they'll start pepper spraying, and not pepper spraying, what tear gassing.
Yeah, the tear gas.
Like,
Exactly.
look at Baltimore when all that scary shit was going on. Like, you can't even stand there, and they're just chanting, and you're tear gassing people.
Yep.
I'm like,
I
can't.
And there's people who are saying, how come people don't do what they used to do, in the black community? It's because back then they weren't like just outright shooting. They were trying to detain, and sure, you got beat, but like now they're just straight up killing you for trying to say something. It's no line anymore. Like, if you want to speak out and say something, you get your head blown.
I feel like if there was a big protest like that, you're gonna have some young dude who's gonna be scared and nervous, and he's gonna shoot a few people.
A few.
I can just see one nervous young dude standing there, then he's just gonna slip the finger and shoot someone, and it's gonna be right in their head, and that's gonna cause a big thing. Because I can just see something like that happening.
Actually, you have a point there, because the cop that killed Tamir Rice wasn't on the job for long, and I believe and there were like other stories that came out of like black people getting shot, and then you come to find out that the people patrolling those areas, those are the people that like just like got out of like the police.
Yeah, it's always some newbie.
And it's so that like when they get trigger happy and shit, you're like, bro, these are newbies. You are giving us people that aren't experienced in dealing with that kind of stuff. They're gonna see a black person, deem them as a threat because of the brainwashing society has put on Americans that black people are just this one big nigga that just needs to disappear from the earth and shit. And then of course they're gonna get trigger happy.
Yeah, and when
it's only happened throughout history.
Yeah, and when you get the new ones that first really know what it's like to have that gun and know what it's like to have God in their hands, you know what I mean? Like the weight of the heft, the cool steel, the power to change lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you have a gun in your hand, you are the next thing to God, because you can take someone's life by pulling the trigger. And people who find that ecstasy in holding that gun and feeling powerful, and they're scared, and they're just ready to train and shoot, or just hectic and not thinking, those people always seem to be in a scenario where someone shall be shot, like a protest or something like that, or just somewhere. Like, why do y'all put those people who are not prepared in situations where we need controlled, experienced, lawful good officers?
When I was in the Navy, there was a senior chief. He said usually people join the Navy for like 4 different reasons. One is because they're bored or they want to get out of their place to start a new life. One is they couldn't find a job. And one other one, and I guess this one is one is for family tradition, like your family done it, so now you want to do it as a family tradition. And the fourth one is because they want to kill someone legally. And I feel like, especially to kill someone legally, I feel like a lot of people join the police for that, or at least they want to see some action that they don't usually see in their board life. So I feel like with these been happening with the Botham Jean and Atatiana Jefferson, because like you said, he could have just knocked on the door. It was a non-emergency call. I don't know. You could have just knocked on the door, rang the doorbell, like someone that was checking on you, make sure you was okay. You didn't have to sneak behind. You didn't have to go creep somewhere. Especially if you're the one with the gun. And you're outside. You basically got the upper hand. And 2, I'm pretty sure he's not supposed to go there by himself. I'm pretty sure cops have a buddy system. So why the hell was he by himself? I have no reason. I'm kind of confused about that one too. But I feel like a lot of cops, like right now, should probably be evaluated or psychologically evaluated just to see where their head is at. Because I feel like a lot of them, especially like this cop, was probably one of the ones that was like really bored and really tried to get it and join the cops, just to try to find some action or something like that. Or like I feel like a lot of them are really anticipating like shooting somebody in a shootout, like being the cop shootout for some reason.
Oh yeah,
And
because it's exciting to be in that moment to them, you know. Just
yeah, so when I look at this cop, I feel like he was just like trying to seize a moment and it ended up backfiring on him. So like I said, I think every cop right now should probably get psychologically evaluated to see where their head is at because
I
this
couldn't
is
agree
this has
more.
been happening too much, and I feel and it we got to do something about it. I feel like it starts in the mental, so I feel like we should attack the mental before it gets to the physical.
I agree. There definitely needs to be better training for these officers as far as de-escalation training. And maybe a third party needs to be the people to make that happen because trusting the department itself, and I feel like there's kind of a culture that's involved in being a police officer is different from other professions. There's kind of like a shared bond between all the people who work in that department, and to kind of trust them to give the proper training to do something new. I don't know if that's gonna happen effectively. So I definitely think that maybe there needs to be some type of outside like task force. That I don't really know exactly like how they would go about that. I just think it's the system that they already have, or between police officers. Somebody sleep.
I don't think so.
I keep hearing like heavy breathing. I know this happens like every week. Anyway, um, yeah, there just needs to be better training. That's my last like thoughts on that.
So I know in Texas and in Dallas specifically, they have different police unions, and they're all based on race. Like there's a Hispanic police union, and there's a black police union, and I believe there's a white police union as well. So it's like racialized. So what I think it is a lot in the police force within itself. Number one, there are black cops, but a lot of them are either like not not aligned with the community, or they don't take the time to like teach the cops that are patrolling these areas, and they don't take the time to teach them like, okay, this is how it is here, this is how it is there. Now a lot of people will say, okay, so if they're the ones teaching them, then why don't they patrol those communities themselves? And that's another conversation about that whole police reformation and shit. And then we're actually talking about how the entire police and justice system works in this country, which has been built kind of to disenfranchise black people. It always has, and that was the number one thing that it has been successful in. So we've also like when it came to like black people in our communities, we always kind of became our own little cops or whatever. You know what I mean? Like we always had little organizations, like whether it was the Black Panther Party or the what's it called? It's the name is escaping me. But like we always had little movements or like little neighborhood watch programs in black communities, just so we wouldn't have the incentive to call the cops on somebody and make the block hot, as they would say. So
You mean like the Black Panther movement?
yeah, that and the Nation of Islam, them two. That's the name that was escaping me. So what like just the whole thing in general is just like this is something that we have been dealing with for a long time, to the point where we hear about it and then we're just like, bro, like what actually needs to be done? And we've been having this conversation over and over and over again ever since, even before Rodney King. We've been having this conversation, and the fact that it's still happening to this day, it's like I don't even think it's just training anymore. Like even though that would help tremendously, I think that it's deeper than training. I think like America in in itself and in whole needs to be honest with race and the institution of race in this country, because there is one race that is slated to be at the top and there's one race that is slated to be at the bottom. And if we don't have an honest conversation about that, then we can't look at police training as like, oh, this is going to, just fix the issue, because this is it has multiple layers, and you can fix one of them, but another layer is going to pop up in that place, and then we're back to square one again.
Yep, because the paradise of the rich is just a hell for the poor. So there's always how society goes. There's always going to have to be someone at the bottom. And as our country, as we keep going down in this path, man, we're trying to make innovation as far as technology goes, but we're not innovating ourselves as far as people. No one wants to reevaluate how they are as people. They just want to continue to live in a society and live in their own little bubble and just keep pretending that things are okay when things are not okay. And I think that if people start really starting at home first and fixing where home starts, then you fix where you work, then you fix where you go in the future. But no one wants to do that, especially with the police force, how things are set up a certain way. And if you're not with that culture, if you're not with that community, then you're pretty much outcast. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure in some departments and some divisions, there are just a group of shady cops that make fun of those who are trying to do the right thing. Because at this point, you get ahead doing the wrong thing, and that should never be the case. But our society is allowing that. People are getting ahead for doing the wrong things. Whereas, the unfortunate woman, Tatiana, she got a bullet for doing the right thing. Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Any last words before we move on to the next topic?
I just know that the community as itself needs to change. As far as everyone else, they need to start understanding that there is a racial problem here in America, and they need to, like you guys said, they need to address it. They need to stop with trying to pull the wool over people's eyes. Mm-hmm. They need to stop brushing shit off, scooting it underneath the damn rug, because now it's a big ass bulge underneath the rug. Clearly there's something underneath there. Pull it back, sweep it out, and talk about it. What is this? Because, with the video of the oh my god, what is it called? The broker for he was trying to sell a home, and it's two black men, and they're not dressed the best, and they're saying this white man calls and says two black fellas breaking into a home, busting down the door, and the cops come, and as soon as they come, they're putting handcuffs on them until they figure out what's going on. Why do you have to do that? And then when they try to tell them, no, the reason why you guys got caught is because two black guys doing that. And they're like, don't start pulling the race card crap. Don't start doing it. I'm like, well, why? Why can't he use that? Why are you acting like that's not the reason? That's the reason why you guys got called. That's why you're out there. It's two brown-skinned men. Come on now. Like stop playing dumb. Yeah. You know that. And why is that bitch out there with her damn gun drawn? Like, get out. Like, stop playing these games. Like, and it's so many of them that play that role of, there's no race stuff going on here. I'm like, it's some fucking race shit. Because if it was one older white man and some young white guy, you wouldn't be doing all that extra. You'd ask questions, just want to make sure there's some proof there, and then you would have went about your damn day. I'm just over being here in America, bullshit. Even though I don't go through those issues, and I'm glad, but I'm over seeing this stuff every fucking day. And I know everywhere has their damn problems, but I just want to live somewhere where I'm just Black people are not just being fucked with all damn day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm tired of seeing this stuff every day. But I'm also tired of black people putting themselves in predicaments and doing silly shit like here in DC at Gallery Place. But that's a whole nother conversation. But it's certain things I'm just like, if you don't put yourself there, this won't happen.
But then even if you don't put yourself there, it happens.
It's
like,
true sometimes.
Anyway.
Sometimes.
Some
of these damn
even
kids in DC, I just be sitting here like, okay, well, what the fuck you thought was gonna happen? You hop the damn turnstile and you're not paying. Now he's stopping you and grilling you. Now it's fuck the police. If your ass didn't do that, then that wouldn't have ever happened. So don't say fuck the police because your ass decided to jump the damn thing. Certain things, I'm like, you put your own self in that damn situation. And now you over here belligerent, cussing at him, acting like you're about to swing, and now he's putting cuss on you. All you have to do is sit there and listen to the scolding of next time you need to put money on your card. All you have to do is sit there and be quiet and say, yes, sir, and go about your damn business. But no, you want to be sitting there cussing him out, act like you're trying to swing on him and square up.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm just like, you know what? Cut it out. But sometimes it'll be the police fucking with people, and I know that.
And I think that because we do have so many cases of the police fucking with people, we have higher expectations for our people that we need to do better so that we won't be put in that position because we know that we're the first people who will be put in that position. But I've definitely seen belligerent drunk white people after some game or after some party or something, and they carry any way they want, and they're not worried about getting their ass beat.
And you can tell from their demeanor and how they are and where they come from after those hours, how they talk, what they do. They know they're safe. They have nothing. But I mean,
you know what? It's also depending on the cop too. Like obviously, some of these cops will be like, "Bitch, you're doing too much," and will put them on the ground. But that's rare. Mm-hmm. It's very rare, but a lot of times, especially after them damn games, and they win they win, and they're fucking not rioting, but they're basically rioting outside. I'm like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, because I was at the Farm Plaza last week, and this boy and I guess his two brothers or not, like they were playing, a little bit too rough, and these were young boys, couldn't have been no more than 14, 15. And they were, just playing a bit too rough, and they were pushing each other, running around the train station, jumping here, jumping there. And you know how in the Farm Plaza you have the escalators that go up so you can cross the bridge to get on either, the Huntington side or the Greenbelt side or whatever.
Yeah.
So they're running up and down there, and I'm talking shoving past people. I'm seeing all this. And then they come back down trying to slide and have fun. And then finally a white police officer, she comes up and she's like, stop. What do you think y'all doing? And then one of them, was on the other side, so he didn't get caught because he basically kept running. The other one got stopped. He tried to juke her and scoot past, but she was not playing that. She created this wall and he wasn't going nowhere. So he tried to say, oh, you stopping me because I'm black. And she looked at him and gave him a look that just can't be expressed. She was offended. She was just like, I'm not stopping you because of your race. I'm stopping you because of your character and how you're acting in this train. How old are you? He said his age. And she was like, you are way too young to be written up and put down for something this, being this ignorant. You got to grow up. Don't be running around here disturbing people. Don't be running around here doing this and that and that and this. And I really thought the young man was going to wow loud, scream, and try to act like he was just raised in the hoodest hood ever created. But he really sat there and listened, and he felt bad.
Good.
He felt bad. And I said, you know what?
So them fucking kids be getting on my damn nerves.
Exactly. And I'm like, hopefully this is a start of something where these young teens and these kids really start listening to what the authorities have to say. And not just cops, but adults too. You know what I mean? These kids, especially on the metro, they're very disrespectful. They don't listen. And when cops stop them, they're acting like they're, the Tatianas, the Trayvons. You know what I mean? No, you are somebody that was cutting up and you had to be addressed. sometimes that is the case. You act up. You know, you need to understand that you can't act like this is your house because it's not. We don't care what you do if you flipping off your refrigerator in your house, but you cannot do that in this setting. And he really understood that. So, like, you know, I can only hope that he went back and told his brother the same thing. That his brother probably said, "Oh, it only happened because we got caught." So maybe there won't be any change right away. But at least the one kid that did get caught, understood what she meant. He understood that it wasn't about race. He was just cutting up. And I feel like if we have more moments like that, where people understand, like, hey, this isn't about the color of your skin. This is, again, the content of your character. You cutting up, you got to get addressed. And cops need to understand that, hey, just because I'm black doesn't mean I you know what I'm saying, I'm out here doing wrong. I'm just out here living. So that whole shit just needs to be fixed. I totally agree with that. Like, there has to be a line somewhere, though.
All right, on to the next subject, which basically hurts my damn heart to even read. A white man done gave 600 women AIDS in Florence, South Carolina, and basically, this is one of the things I really want to talk about because I think it's fixed because this man should have been under the jail, under the ground, and I don't know if he's in jail or alive or out of jail, but the fact that I read this, it really broke my heart. So I was wondering if y'all heard about this story or not.
Yeah,
I
I
heard
heard.
about it.
No, I heard about it too.
I heard that he's been seen by he's been in and out of jail for this. So he's been addressed plenty of times by the authorities for this issue. He should have been underneath the jail for this type of stuff. This just goes to show that the system don't really care about black people like that. Because I guarantee you, if this was like a black man doing this for white women, he would have been in jail for a long time. He wouldn't have been in and out.
Right.
Can I ask a question? Is there a law against giving people
There
STDs?
is.
Oh yes, it is.
There is.
It is.
Okay, that's
Should state that state, but I definitely know that there are laws against that.
If you know you have it, you have to know that you have it. You have to be diagnosed with it. If you're diagnosed with it and you're giving it to people knowingly, then you'll be handled.
Right.
You'll be sentenced. But if you never get diagnosed with it and you passing it around, then it's like as if you never knew that you had it, and you won't be,
Oh, okay. So at that point, knowing is almost as like premeditated murder, I guess. Like,
right.
You know what you're about to do. Okay, that makes sense.
Well, I'm gonna say something that's not popular. I don't feel too much bad for people who's catching it because I keep telling people, if you don't know these motherfuckers that you're meeting in the club, you need to put a damn condom on. And if you can't put no damn condom,
or you can get it with a condom too.
But you know what, girl? I'm pretty sure they weren't using no damn condom.
Oh, you can get.
I'm pretty sure.
From what he says, he was like bragging about it. There was no condom. It was all raw.
I know for a fact that many times your condom bursts. Okay, because people are just nasty today.
From what
I know he's been doing it for more than 10 years, but people are just nasty, and they don't want to use no condom because they want to feel it. It feels better. Blah blah blah. No, you coming home from the club and you just want to have sex. Okay, well if there's no condom, he don't have a condom, you don't have a condom, then y'all shouldn't be doing nothing because this is the risk that you take.
I mean, we don't even know how old these people were, or what the kind of education that they've gotten behind it. They could have thought that maybe it was something that was a lot more rare and probably wouldn't happen. I mean,
they're adults.
They're
all adults. If
but
you're 18 years old,
not all of them are adults.
To put a condom on.
Yeah, not all of them were adults. Some of them were minors.
Yeah, some of the females were teenagers.
Some of them were minors. Yeah.
Does anybody know how old the man is?
Y'all giving
42.
excuses, in my opinion, because we had sex education in elementary school. I at least had sex education. I'm sorry. Everyone heard about condoms. Everyone knows to use a condom.
I get you. Yeah.
I
also
don't
very
care what
lucky
no
to have sex
one says.
education
Ain't
in
no
school
excuse
because
in this
a lot of
world.
that got taken.
There's been HIV and AIDS been going on since the 80s, and these adults, this started happening in the early 2000s. They ain't like this happened in the 70s. They know to use a damn condom. There's no excuse. Put a fucking condom on, or else you're at risk of receiving and getting stuff. If you don't know how to do it, then don't have no damn sex with these people. And when people catch it, I'm like, well, this is what happens. I feel bad, yes, but this is what happens. And
it
I'm
don't
not about
sound
to sit
like
here. I feel bad slightly, but because it's sad that you got it. But it's like shit. You meeting strangers, having sex with them that your first night. You don't know these people.
He has
that
a
is
solid
my fear.
opinion.
That is my fear. I have a fear of catching something from someone because they're so sexy. I'm feeling for it, and I don't care right now. That's how all them gay men in the 80s and the early 90s started dropping like flies because they were all doing that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah,
all them damn documentaries I was watching and listening to the ballroom scene, and that's what happened to all them young gay men. They all having sex with these older men and having sex with each other, and then they ended up catching it. Same thing with these young, and obviously in the straight community it happens too. But it's just because I'm gay, that's why I'm bringing it up. But it's just like I hate that people are not using their brain. If you're gonna have sex with these people that you don't know, you do not know them. Put something on it. I'm sorry. This is what can happen.
Yeah, and you're also very lucky to have sex education because a lot of
I know a lot of people don't have it. I understand
a lot of people
that.
don't have that, and it's just
but everyone's heard of condoms.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Is this sex ed mandatory in school?
No. In my school,
you have to get permission. If they don't, if your parents don't allow them to do that, then you won't get it. You'll get put in a different classroom.
Well, it wasn't.
Yeah, that's always been a debate in America.
I don't know about y'all. I went to Largo. And that's where I learned sex ed. I don't ever remember signing the permission slip or none of that. I remember just like going to health class and they teaching you this.
Probably because you was in high school, but my sex education started in 6th grade, and my parents had to sign a waiver.
Right. And like I'm not using them not having sex as an excuse. I was just saying as a school system that part of the education, that part
I understand what everyone is saying.
I
really do.
Exactly. And as you become an adult,
you
know as you're getting older that there are certain things that become common sense or glued in. Maybe I shouldn't do certain things. And there are people that just choose to be wild and want to have a fun night, and then they get something that they can't get rid of. And I'm not saying that happens, to all the girls, because like you guys are saying that there are minors involved, and minors, are easily manipulated in situations like this, especially from an older man or any older person that knows what they're doing, how to talk to people and get what they want out of them. But it's the fact of like as we grow up, we should be more conscientious of what's around us, what we should be doing, how we should be handling ourselves. And as an adult, you have a responsibility not only to yourself but to people around you. So you should really think twice before having sex with somebody you don't know, because you should be aware of what's out there. If you're not and you're just being wild, or if you're not and just doing what you do, then there's going to be consequences for ignorance, either lack of knowledge or choosing to ignore knowledge.
Just like people having all these oops babies. Trying to play like they planned it.
I can't argue with your logic, sir.
You had sex with no goddamn condom, girl, and now you got stuck with a baby. Stop the games, because everybody wants to say, well, you can't get pregnant even though you use the condom because the condom broke. Girl, that's not the case in your situation.
Yeah, I mean, like
I know too many people, because I'm 25, some of y'all 30, 31, some of y'all 27. Y'all know damn well a lot of people not using condoms.
Yep.
Okay? That's why in DC and Atlanta, all these damn rates are so damn high. It ain't because everyone using the damn condom.
No.
All these nasty ass people out here. I'm like, y'all keep it up. No one is learning.
or
No
what
one
they'll
is
do
learning.
is like they keep switching. Like some of them in certain neighborhoods, like they'll like, bro, you find out like 3 dudes done smashed the same girl all raw.
Yeah.
Like that's what they
Yeah.
like to do in a lot of these neighborhoods, and they get surprised when somebody catch something. Especially if another common case is like, let's say you know some dude in the neighborhood, him and his girl, be fucking or whatever. He got a cousin. The cousin's looking at the girl like, oh, she fine too. He from somewhere. He's not from that neighborhood. He from somewhere else. And then he goes smash the girl. Now she done caught something. So it's like all these little scenarios that people don't really take into account of how like to actually value your body and not to actually let people just dilly dab inside in and outside of you like you just some object. Like, oh, you'd rather just get your nut off than actually get to know a motherfucker and see if that motherfucker right for you. And then all of a sudden you're just having sex with them because they're attractive. Like that's why I personally like I haven't had that type of shit since junior year in high school. That's the last time I had sexual that I had sex was junior year in high school. And to this day, I have not any female because I'm that type of person. If I'm going to have sexual relations with a woman, my mentality is if like you're gonna be my girl if I'm gonna touch you like that because it's too much. It's too much shit going around. There's too many motherfucking undesirables around me. I don't trust none of y'all. So like the next time I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be someone that I love and that I care about and all that. Because if I at least have a child with her, there's feelings there. I'll take care of the child, all that. There's nothing complicated about it. That's why I'm proud to say that I'm 25. I ain't got no baby mamas or none of that. Unlike these other Negroes that run around talking about I got all this drip and they got like 2 damn baby mamas because they don't know how to fucking wrap it up. Not me. Not today.
Well, Future with like 10 kids and he still like roaming the street. But Tony, I guess Tony's real busy. He wanted me to say, as I think we were saying too, that he was really aimed, the guy doing it, he was really, for some reason, he was aiming at younger kids from ages like 13 and 15. I've seen some of the tweets and all his phone records and him claiming that he's like having almost 700 because the number was like 693 and he was like giving them money and buying them clothes and all that other stuff. So ladies, you really gotta watch out. And plus, I while looking for this, I realized this wasn't being told a lot. Like I literally, like I told Cosmosis Jones because she wanted to know the article, I had to really look for the article because there was not that many that was talking about it. It looked like it was wiped off of Google, and you can find anything on Google. I had a hard time finding this.
Mm-hmm. Because also, it's not, like you said, it's not talked about, and someone is finally putting it out there. But unless a lot of people speak on it and it gets a lot of coverage, you're not going to find anything. It's probably on the 20th page of Google.
I had to go through Facebook to find it, and even then, like I had to search for it because you see the video version, but I was like looking for an article so I could like literally look at some of the.
But sometimes I feel like when it's like that, when you can't find it, I'm like, well, is this story true? Like I'm like, was this story like made up?
It sounds made up just by the numbers.
I'm not gonna lie, it does sound made up, but I also looked at the amount of black women that have HIV in South Carolina. The number's up to 67%.
Jesus,
like the number is high in South Carolina. So and the 600 women that got it in Florence, South Carolina, that's like 7% of the population over there. Mm-hmm. So I understand if you don't believe it, but at the same time, while looking at this, I was looking at the numbers, and like you said, like some places like DC, Atlanta, and I guess South Carolina, the HIV rate is really, really, really high. And anybody and what they say about Atlanta, someone you fuck knows somebody famous or some shit like that. So, and
Well,
that's really scary. That's really scary to like see go through this. But the to me the scariest part is that I couldn't find it off the break. Like I had to really search for it.
Well, when I first saw this article, the main reason why I think it was getting coverage is simply because it's a white guy giving black women HIV. Because I'm like, how many black men do this stuff in our own community? I said, y'all ain't talking about that. I said, but whoa, some white man come and he's doing it, and all of a sudden you want to be upset? Give me a break. So we do it. Black people do it in our own damn community as well. Because I feel like that's the main reason why it's being brought up on Facebook.
Any
I
last?
wonder why he's DJing. I wonder why he's DJing.
I was about to say, any last words before we go to the next topic?
I was wondering, why was he DJing in the black community in the first place? Was he doing it because he knew that he can get away with doing this type of thing?
Well, I wonder if he's one of those white guys that grew up around all black people.
Maybe.
Because I'm looking at how he's dressed. I'm like, you look a damn fool.
So I believe that so the DJ, right? And I want to bring up the fact that this is like the little. I want to say there's also an aspect of fetishization into it, because you know how those dudes are when they get with black women and shit like that. They start getting bucked. They start feeling themselves a little bit. Oh, I got me all these black. Like, you should have seen the way he was talking about these black women after he was having sex with them and shit like that. And the little pictures that he had. I mean, there was pictures of him grabbing their asses and, you know, doing it, like putting his hand around their necks and shit. Like, you could really tell that he was just fucking them because
because it's sport to him. It's sport. It's not.
Yeah, it's like
that's all it is.
It just had that little slave master feel to it. The way he was just bragging about it, and the way he was touching them, and the pictures that he was taking with all these black women. It felt very slavey to me.
But what's the difference between him and Future?
Yep.
What'd you say?
I said, what's the difference between him and Future?
Future don't have AIDS.
But no, you're talking about the pictures and stuff like that, and how he's posing.
You're talking about the pictures.
Yeah. In just regards to the pictures,
like when all posing and like talking about the woman, I'm like, what's the difference?
Right.
I mean, they're both bad in my eyes.
True.
Yeah, because to me, that's just someone showing off their trophies at that point. You know what I mean? Like that.
Future.
Me personally, I never glorify Future. I don't know, something about him. I've always like, this nigga a weirdo, but nigga got a fan base.
I never trusted Future. That nigga never take his shades off on the inside. Every time he inside, he still got his shades on.
You know, disrespecting women will always be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't care how big the Me Too movement gets. This will not. I don't see this ever stopping.
Oh, because it's a power trip.
I really don't see it stopping.
Yeah, it makes
men
people.
I know I'm a man, but you know what I mean. Men are just disrespectful.
That's a great segue, Ray.
Yeah, let's to the last topic, and I know a lot of y'all probably done looked at this. I because this is another topic I want to talk about. Pharrell Williams on GQ in this big ass quote, talking about new masculinity. Xavier, I want your thoughts on this first. What you thought about the article?
I kept forgetting to read it, so I can't post an opinion on the new masculinity thing. But if it's talking about men doing things that women do and not having a gender to it, I'm for it to a certain extent. because as people who know me, like I wear mostly women's clothes, but the way I wear it, it doesn't look like I'm wearing women's clothes. Because like I wear like because like I prefer like the t-shirt because of the print on there, or like a button down because it has something on the lapel, or the coat because the design on it is nice, but the way I rock it, it doesn't look like I'm trying to look like a woman. But I feel like they're talking about men wearing like the makeup too, and men wearing like skirts or like certain heeled shoes because of, EJ Johnson, Magic Johnson's son. And he was kind of getting upset because people were asking him, are you transitioning? Because he kept looking like a woman. And my thing is, though, you can't say you're not trying to look like a woman, you're being me, when you are, because your mannerisms is of what you're trying to be of a woman, and then you're wearing heels, which women wear, and you're wearing a dress, and you have your face done up as makeup, and you're wearing a purse. Like, you can't say, oh, it's just me. No, like, you are trying to do that, and that's fine, but don't try to act like it's genderless. And he's trying to make this thing about men being able to wear stuff like that. And, like, people should wear whatever they want, but at the same time, for me, I just feel like people look a mess. Some guys are just too big and tall and brawny for it. They don't look right. And some guys just don't look right doing some of that styles. And I feel like some of them need to stop. But when it comes to Pharrell always pushed the fashion limit. Pharrell always wore stuff that is avant-garde, that's unorthodox. Certain guys be like, I ain't wearing no damn pink jeans with this and with that. But that's Pharrell style, and Pharrell looks fly. And if you can't get with it, that's fine. No one's trying to force you to wear it, but that's Pharrell. And all you can do is accept it because Pharrell's not walking around with his jeans down his ass and wearing a oversized t-shirt, or he ain't walking like some like he from the hood, or he ain't walking like he got something wrong with his damn leg. He gotta be leaning to the side or whatever. He's not tilting his hat. It's like people act like some of these styles are just not made for straight men, and he's always pushed the boundaries, and he's always took heat for it, and he still does it because he just does not care. But at the same time, it's hard for regular people not on that level to do that, because you are living in a community where you can get beat up or killed for stepping out, or you can be ridiculed really badly. And it's just a little different when you're famous and you're able to live in certain neighborhoods and, hop in cars and don't have to deal with actual people stepping to you. But other than that, I don't mind it.
So, I genuinely enjoyed this article, and I have a big smile on my face because he said something that I have been saying for a very long time, and I'm just going to quote him real quick. And in this article, Pharrell says, I think the truest definition of masculinity is the essence of you that understands and respects that which isn't masculine, which, like, that's something that, I find very important. And I've always said the true definition of manhood, at least to me, is respecting, uplifting, and empowering, like, feminine energy. Or in this case, it doesn't even have to be feminine. You know what I'm saying? It could be someone of your community who, whether they're masculine or feminine, you uplift them and you empower them. That's like my definition of a man. So when he said that, I was like, he knows. Say it again. Oh, never mind. Anyway, also I like the title "New Masculinity," because as we are, in the climate where we're talking about toxic masculinity and, really putting into the forefront of how certain things that have benefited men have disenfranchised others, I feel like that's, the way he goes about it in that article was, it was very well articulated. You know what I'm saying? He chose his words well. He actually took the chance to really explain how he does things, and like how his clothing choice could be seen as gender fluid and stuff like that. But it was still Pharrell. You feel what I'm saying? It wasn't just, oh, he feminine or he masculine. It was just, it's Pharrell. That's just how he is. He got a certain look about him. He can wear certain things that some people don't wear. And, if it's not for him, he's not going to wear it. He never really forced himself to wear something that was, not his style. But at the same time, he could wear a t-shirt and jeans and put like a scarf on or whatever and make it look like the flyest shit you've ever seen in your life. And I think that's one thing. Go ahead. I thought someone was saying something, but anyway.
Oh, I have a comment to make on it because I was also really intrigued with the article as well and the kind of evolution of his fashion sense. Well, it went from, I guess, like the typical kind of long white t-shirt and baggy pants, he never really had quite that style because when he first started, he was in a group. And he was the first person to popularize skinny jeans and tighter fitting t-shirts and stuff like that. And kind of made the whole, I guess, being different cool and kind of brought that into the mainstream, like kind of Lil Wayne, how he made skateboarding cool among black kids where that wasn't a thing before.
Hey, sorry.
Yeah, I agree. That I definitely agree. And to add on to your point, I think the number one thing that I really respect about Pharrell is that he turned all of that into his art form. So he didn't need to make music to make art. He could wear his art. You feel what I'm saying? He could also like the way he could walk and the way he conduct himself amongst people was an art. Because in that same article, he said that he started bowing to people and stuff like that. So the way that he was carrying himself, along with the clothes that he was wearing, the music he was making, he was showing regret about some of the songs that he was making back then because they were misogynistic and stuff like that, just because of the culture that he grew up in and what he was expected to contribute back in the day. So, things like that.
I like how he I like how he said that his fashion sense was actually like a sense of art. And as far as the new masculinity, he said it wasn't necessarily new masculinity, but it's a new conversation around masculinity that's being held. And instead of trying to stick to archetypes that are already held in place, and I can only speak so much on this subject because I'm not a man, so I feel like this is more your conversation than mine. But from what I interpreted from the article, he seems happy in that he feels like he maintained his masculinity, even though he might wear something that, well, in my own mind, not worrying about what other people think, I think it looks good on me, even if it's something that a girl might wear. He's not necessarily into wearing skirts and blouses and stuff like that, some other people in Hollywood are. But, anything that he feels looks good on him and expresses, himself through that as a work of art, through his fashion, he goes with it and he doesn't worry about what other people think of him. And that's how he feels masculine, because he feels, confidence within himself to do what he wants to do and not to, bow to other people's expectations. And how is that more masculine than, doing what you want to do?
And I think that's the most masculine thing you could ever do, really, is just to create your own lane and, just kind of stay in there and then, say, this is me, this is what the fuck I'm about. Boom. And that's another thing that I really respect about him. And I feel like that is something that should be, celebrated, where it's his own version of masculinity. It's tailor made. It has a strong foundation, and he's doing it. Not only for himself, but to empower people. There were people that were empowered by the stuff that he was wearing, that they could feel more comfortable in their own skin. That's the most masculine thing you can do in my eyes. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't even really matter how you interpret certain things, because at the very end of the day, when young boys are born into this world, they're given a script by society to, hey, you're not allowed to cry, okay, you have to be hyper violent about the situations that you're in because you're a man and you're just supposed to fight every day. And also, if you have a woman, they're your objects, you get to have sex with them, and if they have your baby, you can just leave them and do whatever you want because you're a man. He didn't have to follow that script at all. And I feel like that script has been manufactured by this society that just views women as like objects and shit like that and don't give them the proper respect. They call that the patriarchy. And, when we have those type of conversations, you really start to see like the layers, and then you start to see like where this shit really came from. And Pharrell also pointed out that, this world and this society is kind of modeled after, the older white man. Because if you look at the Congress, it's older white men that's usually running this shit. He also talked about the Declaration of Independence was really made for like older, for like, the straight white male. And, if it was updated in internet standards, it would include everybody because everybody would be considered human by an internet standard. Yeah, I remember he was saying that in the article too. So there was a lot of little moments of brilliance in that article that he was really spitting some real shit on. And, I'm glad that he did say that it's a new conversation that we're having, because it's finally a conversation where everybody can finally say their piece without being silenced and without, being hurt for it. So
right. That's able to be had these days. There, if somebody tried to bring up that conversation maybe 10 years ago, then it would get shut down.
Yeah, they'll get shut down, and I think that's a huge disservice because, as a man, I acknowledge that manhood, especially in the way that society has kind of pushed it, has done a lot of harm to people, has done, in reprehensible things to a lot of people that just want to, exist in this world. But because they don't fit in that certain box, we take that as a means to criticize them and, just have them look all types of crazy out here. So the fact that we're having those conversations and the fact that people really get to, express themselves in ways that a lot of people will say, yo, wait a minute, that's cool. It's all cool, because at the very end of the day, as long as you are empowered, then that's all we can really ask for. In my opinion.
I just know if I were famous, I'd be the next Pharrell. Because I definitely always push the limit, and I've always had a lot of guys come up to me and say, yo, like, I wish I had the confidence to wear that, or like, oh, you rock that so well, like, I wish I could do that. And I used to be like, do what you want to do. I said, stop worrying about what these straight guys are going to say, your straight male friends are going to say. I said, if that's what you like, that's what you like. You can't keep worrying about people. And that's what's so great about living in like New York. You'll really notice like a lot of people just flourish and they just start to not everywhere in New York obviously, but like when you're in Manhattan, like you can just wear whatever you want. Nearly, you have like the most confidence because everyone is so different up there, and you can feel like you're a Pharrell.
I definitely love fashion in New York. I definitely feel like people try to put themselves out there in whatever style they express themselves to like the fullest that they can. Really, because it's the space to be noticed. And as far as like it has a huge art scene, so it definitely speaks to like people's fashion sense. Or as in DC, oh my God, like I definitely like it feels like people are trying to look like the mannequin from like Old Navy or like a Macy's catalog and just walked right out of fucking Nordstrom. Like that's what they look like to me. Like, and there's no real creativity. It's just trying to look like the status quo, but it's a different culture here. It's not a huge art scene. It's just like, so I like the that he can make fashion and art instead of just a way of kind of fitting a certain archetype. I feel like I've been using that word like too much in this conversation, but like pretty much just there's already like a standard of if you're this type of person, then this is how you should dress. If this is the kind of style that you're having to personify, you can only wear these certain things. But it's just like, well, whatever looks good on me, or whatever, maybe it's an emotion that you're trying to express through whatever style. I don't know. It's just like it's art, not just putting clothes on your back to make you feel good. It's like, on a deeper level.
I definitely sometimes I'm just like, I don't feel like going through this drama and all this attention of wearing certain things and like standing out too much. Versus in New York, like I can wear something that's daring, not even daring, 'cause I'm not really daring like that, but like just wearing something, and it's like you're gonna get looks, but at the same time, most of the looks are like, oh wow, I love this, or this is different. Versus what the hell, what is he doing? Because down here,
it's kind of right. That sound of that's the kind of look that you would get from people because you're like, oh, you look weird or you're not normal. I feel like being different is celebrated in New York.
But I do get, but I if I have to be honest, I do get a lot of positive feedback than negative. Like a lot of people look at me and they're just like, I love it, or you're so different, you stand out so much, and like looking at you, like make me want to do that, and I'm like, good. And like a part of me, that's the reason why I keep dressing the way I dress, because I'm like, I know it's people seeing me, they're like, oh, he's doing that, okay, I'm gonna do it too.
Yeah, because like in DC, you can tell when someone's from here based on how they dress and what they're wearing, the type of shoes that they like, and how they wear certain things. Like how everyone has to wear, like their stocking cap. I'm not stocking cap. The damn.
And I don't want to downplay people who are listening. I don't want to downplay DC, Maryland, Virginia, because obviously New York is the same way.
Right.
If like in the hood in Brooklyn, because I'm from Brooklyn, like when you go into Brooklyn, like East Flatbush, Marcy and everything, Red Hook, like you're gonna get the people that look like they're from Brooklyn. You're gonna get the people that look like they're from Queens. But it's like a lot of them too, when they get to Manhattan, or like when they sneak out their house and try to run on the train or take an Uber downtown to get into the train,
they look the part.
They wear certain things that they will never get caught wearing on their block. Same thing with DC. I've noticed a lot of boys when they go from here to New York, they wear certain outfits. I'm like, why don't I ever see this boy wearing that?
Yeah.
I feel like it depends on the space that you're in. Even you don't even have to go as far as going to like another state. Just being in a place where people are open to differences and diversity as far as like the way you express yourself. Like I really enjoy the rave scene in the DMV area, because I feel like it's definitely a space that's like a safe place to express yourself in all kinds of traits.
I say that all the time. Yes.
So, like, I feel like, I definitely can't say this everywhere. I just feel like when I step outside of spaces like that, like when I go to conventions or come out like a rave or something, I feel like I can be myself or express myself or experiment with my look in any way that I want. And, either they're going to like it or they won't. And if they don't like it, they're not going to like scoff at you. They might just be like, but, like they'll probably still be like, you do your thing. Cause they're encouraging of that, because everybody wants to,
Yeah. I mean, like,
have that.
You may not have somebody run up to you for a photo, but they're not gonna like shame you.
Right. They're not gonna be like, "What are those?"
Unless you stink. Because let me tell you something, Capricorn, I'll never forget it. Walked right past me, and I almost dry heaved. That was the worst thing I've ever smelled in my life.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
And
I was talking about
it was just a lot of smells and yeah,
somebody walked past me.
Well, I mean, smell, that's not a fashion statement. So.
Right. Yeah.
No.
But it can't kill an outfit. It can't kill an outfit. I always thought that.
Yeah, I feel like it can kill anything, like any kind of mood. Like the funk is just not where it's at.
Yeah, I feel it. It's just about self-expression, man.
Yeah, I like a lot of y'all. I appreciated the article too. I wasn't feeling the outfits. Well, no, just the coat. Everything else was cool.
I didn't like his outfit,
but that big ass coat.
It wasn't his style.
You don't think it was his style?
Threw me off.
Look, if you look at Pharrell's Instagram and paparazzi photos, he dresses way better than that. Way better. I didn't like something. The only one I liked was the two-piece leather outfit, the green, and like a coat on there. But like the styling, it wasn't really Pharrell. It was
the leather. Oh, I see which one you mean. He looked like Jada Smith in this one. That's what that looked like Jada Smith. But I was looking at some of the prices. A lot of these prices for these dresses are expensive.
Yes, honey. I have to take you to Barney's one day.
Oh, I would love to go.
That's why I fuck with.
Be amazed at some of the expensive shit that people wear.
Oh yes. Some of my bags that I carry around you probably drop your damn jaw if you ask how much they were. You be like, Xavier, really? But it's all for fashion and style.
Okay.
But one thing though, I like with you, Ray, like this, like stuff like this, like you wouldn't wear it, you wouldn't, buy it or nothing, but you have an appreciation, and like you have an understanding at least, and that's all I ask for straight men, especially straight black men in our community. I'm like, this may not be for you. You may never wear it, but at least you understand and you like, oh, this looks good on you. It ain't for me. I like my jeans a little loose, but it looks good on you. Go you.
Maybe like
I'm a fitted jeans kind of person, but I understand what you mean. And I know what you're saying, because I had a friend in the Navy. Like, he wore stuff that I know is not my style. And if I try to wear it, because he's more tall and got a swimmer's body. I'll show you a picture of him later, Xavier. But my man, he could rock some outfits that I can't wear, but I told him this nigga look fly in them. Like, but if you see him, he's like one of the flyest niggas I've seen. So, but me, like, I know I can't rock them. I'm more like, just I'm more stockier and I don't have a swimmer's body and I'm more bigger now. I can't be rocking some of that stuff. But just like, what's his name? Terry Mugler? Am I pronouncing it right?
The designer, right?
The designer, yeah.
Yeah.
When Cardi B wore that outfit, I didn't understand it. Oh, Mugler, excuse me.
Mugler.
But like when you sent me the video of his art show and I watched it, I understood.
Yes.
And
that was right, because I had to have you understand.
That.
I'm like, no, you have to understand the story and you got to see the show. It all makes sense.
Yeah, you're right. And even then, when I was watching that, I was like, even some of them, I was like, I could rock that. I could, but some of the stuff I was looking at, I was
honestly,
like,
when you just look at the dress, it's like, yeah, this is kind of ugly. But when you see it on someone who can bring it to life, it's like, okay, now this looks hot. Now it looks different. It all depends on who is on.
Exactly. So I guess the moral of the story is find your style and try to master it, and don't let no one else try to subjugate you to doing their style, because that shit probably not for you. Find your own shit, make your own style, and rock it the best way you can.
Okay.
So, any last words on this before we get to our final thoughts?
Nope.
All right, I guess we can go to our final thoughts. Tony, are you there? I know you've been working.
Yeah, I'm here. Hit me on the last. Hit me on the last jump.
What you mean?
Just
no, I say this is final thoughts right here. This is final thoughts right here.
Well, come back to me right now because I'm doing something right now.
All right, Mark, you got any final thoughts?
Yeah. So, my final thoughts include for those of you who would like to get into comics, because that's just something I really value. I know, some people just think it's like, it's geeky, it's nothing, it has no value to it to be interested. But there are these characters really they really spoke to me as a kid growing up. Like I wouldn't be as open-minded and I wouldn't be as willing to do the things that I do in my life without comics, because these characters, just the adventures they went on, the personalities that they have, they really shape the reader, especially when you're growing up reading it. So I'm a little disappointed in how comics are handled today. Except for there are some gems out there, as Immortal Hulk and Jonathan Hickman's X-Men run. If you are an X-Men fan and you have felt let down for these past, I don't know, 2 decades or so, please go read Jonathan Hickman's X-Men, because it does so much for the X-Men reader and the X-Men fan. And a lot of people, who don't know too much about the X-Men, they just know maybe the name and the power they can do, but they don't know the character. And that's something that I
20 seconds.
Yeah, right. Oh, the time. Oh shit. Stay cool, read comics, stay safe. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go next. Everybody don't do what you want to do, because that's how I'm not even gonna go there. Just you can find your own style, and do as you please to a certain extent. Read comic books; they're actually pretty good. Video games are life. Black female characters need to be in more original video games. And have a good night.
18 seconds.
Okay, Father.
So I want to give a shout out to Gina Rodriguez, who had a oopsie moment when she decided to say nigga while singing the Fugees. And yeah, like here's the thing, right? You can't be doing that shit on social media. They gonna drag your ass, all right? And this is for my Hispanic folks. I know you grew up in Black culture and you identify with us and all that. Just y'all gotta be careful when you say the N-word. You're not really even supposed to be saying it. Like the Afro Latinos can say it because they're Black. But yeah, Gina Rodriguez, yeah, you getting dragged not only because you said the N-word, but because you've been kind of wishy-washy with Black folks, the past couple of months and the past couple of years. So that's one of the reasons why you're getting dragged. And that sparked a whole conversation on Twitter, because you had certain Hispanic people trying to justify the fact that they say nigga. But we're not saying that you can't say nigga because we're being mean. It's a word that we reclaimed. And if you are not of the proper skin complexion to say it, then you just can't say it. It's not that we're being evil. We're not being malicious. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of Black people that's not calling you, beaners or nothing like that, because that's disrespectful. And the last thing that we want to do is disrespect you. But all we ask is, if you are going to partake in our culture, you can do that. You just have to have certain, there's just rules to the shit. You know what I'm saying? You just can't have it. You just can't have it to where you can join our shit and then not abide by our rules. You feel me? So, you can rap to the Fuji song. You could turn up with us when we having our little events or whatever. But just understand that we are the gatekeepers of our shit. And if you are not going to abide by the rules, you are going to get dragged. And now, if you want to say nigga, you can say nigga. But 2 things are going to happen to you. You are going to get checked, and somebody probably going to punch you in the face. So I wouldn't recommend it. But, as long as you follow the rules, then we cool. If you are not visibly Black, and I say that because there's mixed people that are Black that look white passing. But if you are not Black, do not say nigga. That's not that's not us being mean. That's just for your safety because it's not your word. All right, cool. Thanks.
Tony, you up?
Yeah. A couple of things. Texas police, not all Texas police officers, but a lot of law enforcement in Texas to get Bama of the week or Donkey of the day. I just sent Jameson a link that a police officer just pulled a female over, 39-year-old female, and strip searched her on the street and put her tampon out.
Dang.
Yeah, I sent the link. Yeah, I didn't. It just happened, I think, last night or something like that.
I'll send it to the chat.
Yeah. Also, as I'm an older person, I think I'm the oldest person in here because I'm 37. I usually think that a lot of relationships are supposed to be a certain way, like meet somebody, get to meet them, know them for a while, and then you get married or you get married after have sex. And I think that the whole world is kind of different. It just fits the person. It fits the relationship on them two people. No two people can't follow the guidelines of that type of guideline because everybody had different guidelines. Sometimes I met people that met somebody like in a week, you know what I'm saying, and got together and married them, and it was successful. Well, I met people that, took it slow and still had a fucked up relationship. That was, what was the other one? The tampon thing, Donkey of the Day, that I think that's it. I can't remember the third one I was gonna say. Pay attention to politics. Pay attention to the news that's going on with the president, man, because that affects us. I know that we haven't talked about it a lot, but at night I'm always paying attention to the news. What's going on overseas is what's going over now. As us black people, we still gotta know what's going on. I think that's it.
All right, a couple things. I know, like a couple weeks ago, the LGBT they had their own little forum addressing their issues and talk about the things they want done for the LGBT community. I want to say I do not have a problem with none of that. I actually applaud them for doing that and having the platform to do it and talk to the president. Or to the presidential candidates, as I may say. I would like us to do the same thing. I know we had this forum with the Killer Mike, T.I., Candace Owens. I know we had that summit on Revolt, but at the same time, and I respect everybody that was on that panel, none of them was running for president. I would like for us to have a panel so we could talk about our 10-point agendas that Killer Mike has been talking about, the things that we need to be changing or we need done, and maybe as Wallace and a bunch of other people said, get our tangibles so we won't end up getting the breadcrumbs and us getting at least a good portion of the pie. Especially when it comes to things like reparation and health, education and jobs and all the other stuff, because I don't want us to be behind while everyone else and I have no problem with the immigrants doing their thing. I feel like everybody's supposed to be doing their job. I do feel like we do our job, but at the same time, I know we're ignored and we got a lot of, I feel like a lot of the politicians ignore our arguments and our point of view, and, they turn it to an all lives matter thing. But at the same time, I don't know about y'all, but I'm with the candidates. I'm with Tariq with the whole hold your vote thing until they give you what you need. But we'll see what that be like by the time the presidential election 2020 comes around, because this might be an interesting one to see whoever they vote for. And also, my Dallas Cowboys, could you please stop losing? All right. I can't everybody that I know that hates the Cowboys, I get hit up with all the fucking time, especially since we lost to an 0-4 team in the Jets.
Boo! Boo!
All right. Can we please turn around so we can go to the Super Bowl so I can like finally brag?
No.
Ray, let me tell you something. I hate the
Look. And this, all I want to say, if this keeps happening, I'm boycotting football again. Go ahead.
You already know, man. I'm not a big fan of football. I hate the Redskins because my dad loves the Redskins. So by proxy, I gotta hate the Cowboys too because I'm a petty ass nigga.
I understand.
Wow. Dallas sucks.
Yeah. But I'm a Dallas fan as soon as my dad cheers for them Redskins, though.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Tony, when we gonna meet up for the next time the Cowboys and Redskins play?
Man, I don't know, man. Let me know, man. If you want to, you come to my house and when they play next time, whatever. We gonna meet up.
All right, cool.
I'm thinking about buying tickets to the game because you know the tickets are kind of cheap. There's like buy one get two free at the stadium and shit.
I've actually been to FedEx Field. It's actually a nice field. And the last time I've been there, RG3 was quarterback, and the Cowboys was busting the Redskins' ass. Next thing you know, it was a lot of Cowboys chants over Redskins. So, and he did not like that at all. He was like, "I'm fucking insulted." He was heated. So, I felt this pain, but at the same time, I'm glad we got that win. Awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. I'd like to thank everybody on the panel that came through. I know everybody didn't get their final thoughts, but I appreciate them coming to stay as long as possible. I'd like to thank all of y'all for listening to this podcast. Thank you for listening, us talking our shit again. Till then, this is You Know What? Let me just say podcast, and we out. Peace.